One false move, and Hattie Scott would surely ruin Christmas. "I dare say I've never seen such care taken with anything I've ever purchased, Miss Scott." The handsome Englishman, leaning against the mahogany shop counter, was a teasing sort, and he was probably smiling that dashing grin of his that made her stomach flutter. Hattie didn't dare look up at her favorite customer to prove herself right, though. The German glass Christmas ornament he'd just bought from her at the Five and Dime was so fragile that if she fumbled at all, it could easily fall and shatter into 1,000 pieces. Slowly, gently, she placed the paper-wrapped decoration in a small box. "I don't wish anything to happen to your ornament, Mr. Branson. 'Tis precious." "And how is that?" His British accent sounded both foreign and familiar to her ear. "Because it is the only of its kind in the shop?" The bauble shaped like a cluster of grapes topped with a brass cap was indeed unique among the ornaments for sale at the Woolworth Brothers Five and Dime where she worked, and so vibrant a cobalt blue that she had never seen its equal. But that wasn't what she'd meant. "Because it is your American Christmas." He'd told her of his intention to set the lone ornament in a small dish with a candle and a sprig of pine to add a dash of holiday spirit to his cozy rented room. That single decoration would suffice because he'd be returning to England with the new year. Hattie and her family's simple holiday decor would be on par with Mr. Branson's, but not because of an upcoming transatlantic journey. Baubles were a luxury they could not afford, not with her late father's debts weighing so heavily on their shoulders. Nor could Hattie work full-time. Mother's legs were too weak to carry her more than a few steps, so she couldn't be left alone more than the few hours each morning Hattie worked at the Five and Dime. Therefore, most of the family's financial burden was on Hattie's brother, Zebedee, whose long shifts at the Slocum Iron and Coal Company often left him exhausted. If he'd been grumpy the past few weeks, though, it had less to do with fatigue than frustration, since he'd once again deferred his wedding to his ever-patient fiancée, Cora. When Hattie heard the news that Zeb had postponed the wedding yet again, she'd scolded her brother, accusing him of dragging his feet. Then he'd shown her the newest tears in his Sunday clothes, not the sort of thing that could be mended even by her fine stitching. "I won't marry Cora dressed in rags." She understood then. With every penny they earned marked to pay off bills, Zebedee couldn't afford a new suit and, in his mind, couldn't afford a wife either. Although that was nonsense. Cora didn't want riches. She wanted Zeb. Her brother's plight was enough to make a shop girl gloomy, but Hattie had come up with a plan to speed her brother to the altar. Thinking of it now, she smiled, but in truth it was also impossible to feel downcast around her favorite customer, Timothy Branson. He came into the shop each morning, an oddity that her family and co-workers teased her about, but she didn't mind. He never failed to make her laugh, and seeing him was a bright spot in her days. While most of the male customers who shopped at the store where she was employed made a brisk business of paying for their purchases, the Englishman with the dark wavy hair and cheerful manner had been friendly from the start. Conversational on topics both light and heavy. She'd learned both of their fathers had passed on, both were the youngest among their siblings, and both were close to their mothers. But Tim also bantered with her, and today he was clearly in a playful mood. His lips curved upward as his eyes narrowed to study her. "You're saying this blue bauble here is the extent of my American Christmas?" She met his mischievous gaze squarely. "Isn't it?" "Surely it is not the only trapping of the season I shall have. Don't Americans attend church or sing carols, exchange gifts, or eat roast goose?" His teasing smile widened